Unlike most dragon, this one has no tail swipe or cleave, and the fight is a repeat of 2 phases. In phase 1, she will do 2 breath attacks. This spray has a fixate bias on players not in melee range, provided there is a minimum of 3 players meeting that condition. The spray will leave puddles at random spots in the sprayed zone. The harder the raid difficulty, the more puddles will appear from the spray. The puddles deals about 190 to 200k plague damage if stepped on. Every around 15 seconds into phase 1, random players will get rot debuff. Rot deals around 300k plague splash damage to 8 yards radius upon application, and every 3 seconds after for 9 seconds. At the end of the debuff duration, the player will drop a puddle. The number of players affected by rot per cast increases by 1 after each phase 2. Tanks doesn't get rot, but get volatile rot instead. Volatile rot do not have a pulsing AoE damage, but will deal AoE plague damage at the end of the debuff to everyone in the raid. The nearer player to the tank, the higher the damage taken by that player. The tank will also drops 3 puddles at the end of the debuff instead of 1. Swap tank when the other tank has volatile rot active. In heroic mode, each time a player takes a plague damage, the player will gain a stack of infested debuff, which is from rot application, rot splash, volatile rot splash, spray, and stepping on puddles. Infested is a 7k per stack every 2-second plague dot. The stacks reset at the end of phase 2. In phase 2, the dragon will be passive for 20 seconds, and players can DPS freely. All the puddles around the room will move towards the dragon, and players need to evade them accordingly. Keep 8 yards distance from any growing and bloating bugs around the room. These bugs will explode 3 times, and the explosions deal around 200k plague damage, and put a debuff that increases damage taken within the next 5 seconds from another explosion by 75%. In heroic difficulty, the bug's explosion can hit for more than 1.2 million plague damage, if struck while the 75% debuff is active. The moving puddles and bug explosions also add to infested debuff stacks. Now let us look at pole position for normal difficulty. The starting tank should pull the dragon slightly toward the middle of the room. This will give the raid a comfortable movement space. A minimum of 3 ranged classes including healers should fill up the dedicated spray zone. This way, the raid can influence the direction of the spray and minimize unnecessary raid movements for the melee classes, or healers stacking with them. This will also avoid leaving resulting puddles from the spray all over the area. In normal mode, rot doesn't apply any dot, and the initial AoE damage can be easily managed by the healers. Because of this, it is more effective to just stack the melee classes and some healers, as per the illustration. It is also safe to stack the healer assigned to healing the tanks to stack with the tanks. This is so that the healer can get a better reach when the tank affected by volatile rot runs out to drop the debuff at the designated zone. Illustrated here is how the players with the rot debuff should run to designated area to drop the puddles. The players have 9 seconds to get into position. There is no reason to panic. When the dragon turns for the breath attack, the range class is designated to the zone. Should run to the nearest safe spot. As soon as the spray ended, the range class is assigned to influence the spray direction should return back to the zone. Meanwhile, the tank affected by volatile rot gets into position to drop the debuff. Swap tank accordingly. The following illustrate how the next wave of rot debuff should be handled. Take note that it is possible that the dragon fixate on the player running to drop the rot debuff for the spray attack. Adjust accordingly. The range classes on the spray duty should always make sure they are in the correct area. It is very unlikely that the whole dedicated spray zone area be filled with puddles, but if required, the rot zone can also be used as a backup spray zone. Keep rotating tanks as required. Take note that the healer assigned to heal the tanks and range on spray duty can also use their respective zone to drop rot puddle if required. During phase 2, move to the clean half of the area. Range classes should always keep distance, and everyone should spread out. If you can find a safe spot in the contaminated area, feel free to stay and continue DPS. Keep a lookout for any nearby bloating bugs and avoid them. In heroic difficulty, the starting position is slightly different. More range players need to be assigned to spray duty. This is because everyone need to be spread out around 8 yards in order to minimize the infested debuff from the initial rot splash to stack up too high. That's all for now, and good luck.